Morocco. Colourful markets, glittering souks, and shaded gardens. It is said that the finest of these gardens today are the work of artists, romantics, and plant collectors from Europe. We set out on a journey to Morocco to discover how they have brought their dream of the Orient into garden form. This garden is somewhere in Morocco. We are not permitted to say precisely where. Many people talk about it, but only very few have been there. About 20 years ago, a German couple decided to make their dream of an Oriental garden a reality. Fully in keeping with Islamic tradition, they have created not merely a green plot, but a habitat and living space. A place to escape from the heat and the dust, to enjoy the shade, the colours, and the birdsong. A perfect Islamic garden achieves the symbiosis of architecture and nature. Everything is in harmony, down to the last detail, and is steeped in the desire and the will to achieve beauty. Water is the most important element around which everything turns. This central role is dramatized with every conceivable resource. We are interested in where Europeans first created gardens in Morocco, and we set off to find out more. Rabat, the capital city of Morocco, is on the coast of the North Atlantic Ocean. A fresh ocean breeze always blows here, and the climate is pleasant throughout the year. Rabat is a modern administrative city, but it also includes the old fortress citadel, dating from the 12th century. The Kasbah of the Udaya, which Ines Elexperu tells us about. She works for the Spanish Funki organization, which researches Islamic culture.
Les Andalouses qui ont été chassés par les dynasties chrétiennes en Espagne sont venus se réfugier au Maroc, en Algérie, en Tunisie, et notamment ils sont venus s'installer à la rivière du Bouregreg, aussi dans la Kasbah des Udaya. La Kasbah, c'est une cité fortifiée qui date du XIe siècle avec la dynastie almoravide. Après, les Allemands du XIIe siècle refont et s'approprient de la Kasbah. C'est là où nous pouvons voir les très belles portes avec la pierre locale.
In these alleys lived the Spanish Muslims, who had escaped from the Christian conquest of Andalusia. Even after so many centuries, the blue facades and the plants on the streets are reminiscent of Cordoba. Since there was no space for gardens in the old city, painted flower pots were used to bring a splash of colour to the alley. Rhythmic sounds echo through the streets. A Gnawa musician is playing a three-stringed lute, known as the gimbri. The Gnawa are an ethnic minority in Morocco, and their musicians are called on even today to drive away evil spirits. Inside the fortified walls, there is an old garden that has an eventful history over several centuries. Ines Elexperu explained how it was created in the early 20th century.
Certainement, il s'agissait d'un riad, c'est-à-dire une maison
This was
dont le
certainly
cœur
a riad,
a house with a garden in the center. When General Lyautey came to Rabat during the French protectorate, he decided to establish this garden in the style of an Islamic Andalusian garden, so it would have his original character again, with stone paths, symmetrical axes and fountains. He divided the garden into flower beds with plants reminiscent of those from Andalusia. The paths, the colours, the shade everywhere, and the architecture surrounding the garden. It is all typical for an Andalusian garden. It is a riad, also known as a bahira, a garden surrounded by walls.
Jardin clos, entouré d'architecture.
It is a rather bewildering story. A century ago, a French general has a garden recreated in the style of Muslim Spain. Hubert Lyautey loved gardens, and he loved Morocco. At his request, a French painter came to this country, whom we thank for the most famous public garden. This is our next destination. We leave the Kasbah of the Udaya and travel south. Once again, we enjoy the salty spray of the Atlantic and prepare ourselves for the hot, dry and dusty climate of the interior. The journey takes us here, to Marrakesh. The Cité Nouvelle, as the new city district is called, was built during the French occupation. This is where the Jardin Majorelle is located. It was named after the French painter Jacques Majorelle, who created it almost 100 years ago. Today, it is one of the major tourist attractions in Marrakesh. It has 800,000 visitors a year from all parts of the world. The painter from Nancy suffered from a heart complaint, and on the advice of General Lyautey, moved to Morocco. He stayed and created a garden. It was not only for flowers, but also for decoration, colours and forms. The creative hand that was at work here can still be sensed today, in the play of contrasts to the intensive green of the shaded garden. We meet Quito Fierro, who has known this garden since his childhood. What idea was the painter Jacques Majorelle pursuing in his garden?
Jacques Majorelle a toujours dit,
Jacques Majorelle always said, "My garden is like a living painting." This is why he worked with colour in the garden. His famous blue, for example, which he discovered when travelling in southern Morocco. It is the blue the Tuareg people used to paint their house doors. It has since become a trademark, Majorelle blue.
Puisqu'on appelle maintenant ce bleu le bleu Majorelle.
The excellent care and condition of the garden today is due to the work of a foundation. After Jacques Majorelle died over 50 years ago, the intensive blue faded and the garden became wild and overgrown. It was awakened from this sleeping beauty condition by another French artist, the fashion designer Yves Saint Laurent. He and his partner Pierre Berger devoted themselves to this artist garden heritage. Every step here brings a powerful new impression. A tableau composed of the plant silhouettes and the colourful surfaces in the background. The blue painter's atelier is the backdrop for a lush world of plants. There are no inhibitions against postcard aesthetics here, because the intention is to reward every glance with a perfect picture. The Jardin Majorelle is also a botanic garden. Jardin Majorelle was a dedicated collector of plants. He financed expeditions in all parts of the world.
Il a voulu créer un jardin exotique.
He wanted to create an exotic garden for his plants from around the world, in particular for the cactuses. Majorelle wanted to recreate the universe in miniature of the botanical gardens he had known during his childhood in Nancy, which he had regularly visited. This was the origin of his passion for plants.
Majorelle also developed a passion in Morocco for Berber culture, and his former studio is now a museum dedicated to the Berbers.
Under the new constitution, Morocco has, in the past 4 years, recognized the Berber identity and the Berber roots of the country. The first Berber museum in Morocco presents this cultural heritage. It is a very important development, and with a close link to Jardin Majorelle, because he discovered this Berber identity in Morocco, and above all, in Marrakech.
Le Maroc, et surtout Marrakech, découvre cette identité berbère.
A part of this identity is an ancient traditional art essential for designing gardens by Europeans. A fountain should always have a place in a garden. With this in mind, we visited a mosaic maker and his workshop at the gates of Marrakech. Abdelghani Lachaga learned the craft from his father. The men of the family have been mosaic makers since the 18th century. There are 2 methods for making these very small tiles. Either each single part is first made from clay, glazed and fired separately, or the small pieces are hammered out of already fired large tiles to the sizes required. Abdelghani Lachaga has customers from around the world. They are mostly owners of gardens. A specialty of the Moroccan garden is that finely crafted and artistic objects used in it are equally as important as the plants. Back to Marrakech. The old city, the Medina, is surrounded by a wall. There is no space for buses or trucks in the old city. The streets of the souk are strictly arranged according to the goods on offer. These include, for example, textiles, the items needed for the traditional tea culture, and food. Sweets are particular favourites of both local people and tourists. The jostling crowds of the souks are an unfamiliar experience and make a quiet, solitary place seem very attractive. Riads offer precisely this. Riads are houses with a central courtyard garden. These are the typical houses in the Marrakech Medina. They provide protection from heat, the sun and the dust. A splashing fountain should never be lacking. It freshens the air and soothes away the noises of the surrounding rooms. City is soon forgotten in a cool courtyard garden of this kind. The palms and other large leaf plants give shade from the sun. The Dane Peter Bergman found a home here over 40 years ago, and he restored this riad with its 7 courtyards. He adopted the customs and practices of the country from the start. These include giving a newly purchased house a name.
Wenn man in einige Häuser reinkommt,
when you enter some houses, you simply do not feel very much at home in them. This is strange, and vibration sounds a little silly, but it is a fact. When you come in here through the first large courtyard at the rear, you experience, yes, it is Ifulki. Ifulki is a Berber word. It means beautiful and good. It was so beautiful. I felt so good, accepted, welcome, and that is why the house is named Ifulki.
There were once about 1,000 riads in the Medina. A few hundred have now been renovated, mostly by Europeans. Some people criticize the sellout of the old city, while others say without the foreigners, the Medina would be a ruin. But without the oriental hospitality of the Moroccans, few Europeans would have stayed here for long. The Moroccans have their own criterion for the quality of a house. It must not only be comfortable and shaded, but also happy. Peter Bergman must have found out how to keep the spooks, the jinns as they are known here, well disposed.
I simply asked the neighbours what to do to keep the house happy. They were very pleased with the question. Here comes a foreigner at long last, who respects our customs, they said. They told me to leave little heaps of dates, flour and sugar at all the external corners to feed the prosperity of the house. Blood also had to flow, so a sheep was slaughtered. The Gnawi musicians came and drove away the bad spirits. I did everything that was expected, and it has been a happy house.
Und es ist ein glückliches Haus geworden.
It also needed hard-working, good spirits to make sure it would not only be happy, but also a beautiful house. The Moroccan craftsmen are among the best in the world. With all the things you need for the inventory for a luxury riad in Marrakesh, the craftsmen have much to do. We leave Marrakesh and head for the road of the lamp makers. Remarkable lamps are produced in this workshop, with its modest dimension of a mere 30 square metres. Brightness is not the quality sought in these lamps, but atmospheric effect. You can find them in all Moroccan houses and gardens. Each one of these craftsmen is a specialist for a single production process. The fine frames for the glass panes are first shaped out of sheet brass. Fitting the glass requires skill and routine. The pane breaks if too much pressure is applied. Piece by piece, the metal parts are soldered into a complete lamp. Most of the customers for these lamps are foreigners who value the craftsmanship that goes into them and are thus ready to pay more than for cheap imports from China. The walls of Marrakesh are 19 kilometers long and all in the earth color of this area. This royal city has been an important trading and exchange center for around 900 years. It owes its existence to an immense oasis of palms, the Palmeraie. This provides water and food. Building among the palms is not permitted, but living close to them and having a garden there is highly prized. This garden belongs to a citizen of the world, Fabrizio Ruspoli. It is an enchanting and very romantic garden in which the personal signature of the owner can be clearly felt. Water channels and fountains demonstrate an affinity to Islamic culture. What does a garden mean for Fabrizio Ruspoli?
Un jardin, c'est avant tout une collection d'émotions.
A garden is a gathering of emotions.
Ça doit vous emmener dans un rêve.
It must take you to your dreams and bring contact with memories that have fled very deeply into your heart.
Des souvenirs très profonds qui sont
A garden
enfouis
is
dans
a
votre
mirror
cœur,
of
dans
the
votre âme.
emotions.
C'est donc la résonance des émotions.
Many emotions have found their place in this garden over the years. What are the emotions that bind Fabrizio Ruspoli to Morocco, and why does he live here?
Je vis depuis 22 ans au Maroc, mais j'ai un lien très fort avec le Maroc, puisque enfant,
I have lived in
mes
Morocco
grands-parents
for 20
avaient
years.
une maison à Tanger, donc
I have a strong
déjà
link with the
j'étais
country
baigné
because my
dans la
grandparents had a house in
culture et dans
Tangiers,
l'atmosphère du
and I was
Maroc. Donc
plunged
c'est
into
vraiment
Moroccan
moi, ce sont
culture
des
as a
racines
child.
que j'ai. Alors ça, c'est déjà une chose qui ne s'explique pas. Dans la culture islamique, on est plus, je dirais pas dans le secret, mais dans une discrétion.
In Islamic
dans un
culture,
calme et dans une
you find
sérénité
yourself
qui
by
vous permet
withdrawing into
de
peace and
réfléchir,
tranquility,
de penser,
permitting you
de
to live
vivre,
thoughtfully,
d'avoir le cœur
with
qui
a
bat,
bowed
donc de manière
heart and a
verticale,
vertical
donc c'est une
communication with God.
plutôt vers Dieu, c'est
This,
ce qu'on
rather
essaye de
than a
faire,
mere outward
plutôt
orientation,
que
which
ouvert
is
vers
more of a
l'extérieur,
European
vers
approach.
tout ce qui est
I think
beaucoup
that is
plus
a very
européen.
important aspect of Islamic culture.
C'est un point qui est très important, je crois, dans la culture islamique.
A garden, as it is perceived in Islam, is a place for introspection. But an Islamic garden is also characterized by other functions, for example, utility. Fabrizio Ruspoli employs Berber gardeners who maintain a lush vegetable garden. The garden furrows are flooded in the early morning in the traditional irrigation method of the Berbers. The earth must first be heaped to model runnel channels for the water. Young aubergine plants are then placed in the thoroughly wet earth. They are protected from the fierce sun by the protruding branches of trees. The gardeners can harvest vegetables several times a year, and these are then used in the kitchen close by. Fabrizio Ruspoli attempts to make his guests familiar with Moroccan everyday life and culture. Bread is an important component of this. He has a traditional wood-fired oven in one of his gardens for baking bread. Bread is not only a basic food, in Moroccan culture it is holy in the sight of God. Bread is never thrown away. It would be unthinkable for this bread anyway. It is delicious, especially with a little olive oil. What is the taste of Morocco? It is very much that of the tagine, a Moroccan national dish that derives its name from the special cooking pots used with their conical lids. You can get to know a country very well with the palate. The participants in a cookery course ought to learn how to make tagine. It can be made with vegetables, but also with fish or meat. Spices such as cumin, coriander, garlic, curry and ginger are mixed in the tagine with oil and a little water. The ingredients are then stacked over each other and cooked. The taste and flavour rise upwards during cooking.
She's going to make it very low. Right, so now, this is the moment.
The way a garlic puree is prepared also needs to be practiced. Aromas are an inspiration to the memory. An appetizing smell from the kitchen makes us hope for some fine memories to come.
Now add your garlic to your tagine, please. We are going to make a salad called souks salad.
The Palmeraie is a good place for gardens. In the middle of this forest of palms, we visit an atrium house with a green inner courtyard. This property also belongs to a European family. Their passion for gardens has opened their gates for us. The owners are pleased to show us the garden, of which they are very proud, but do not wish to be named or shown. Anonymity is not unusual in this city. Marrakesh is an important place on the jet-set map. Many rich and famous people have established a private retreat here, where they enjoy oriental luxury. This frequently includes the possession of an unusual garden. The reason why the owner created a garden in Marrakesh is the climate. She is a passionate plant collector. Few of her plants would survive an icy winter in the north. The flower bed on the terrace has an exuberant crowd of echium, pride of Madeira. Not only a delight for the eyes, but also for the bees. Bougainvillea in delicate pastel shades, a chinaberry tree with its intoxicatingly perfumed blossom, and hollyhocks, which originate from here. Islands of palm trees have flowering shrubs at their feet, edging generous lawns. This reveals the European hand of the garden designer. The magnificent cactus plants of this size clearly come from the cactus farm north of Marrakesh. It is the largest cactus farm in Africa, on 7 acres, with 150 types from around the world. The founder came from Germany, but the family business is now in the hands of his widow and daughters. This is virtually a European female-run company here in Morocco. All three are cactus experts. For plants such as the Apuncia pasilaris with its insidious and almost invisible barbed hooks, or the Espostula lanata, no one should be fooled by its attractive appearance. The conditions are ideal for cactus plants here in Marrakesh. They need 100% sun and sand, gravel and earth in equal parts. But they have very modest water requirements. Only when they are first planted do they need regular watering for 2 weeks. Rosalinda Thiemann grew up on the cactus farm with a father from Bremen and a mother from Marrakesh.
war erst noch am Studieren in Frankreich und bin dann auch hierher gekommen, weil
I was studying in France, but then I came back here because it is a marvelous heritage, and I thought I must make sure it is continued.
Ich war ja immer hier, bin hier groß geworden und ich liebe einfach die Cacti und kenne auch viel darüber.
And I know a lot about
Darum war es für mich
so
ganz
it was an obvious choice to stay here.
Also ganz
There are
normal,
now
dass ich
three
hierher
of
komme.
us since my younger
Wir
sister
sind ja
joined
zu
us.
dritt jetzt, da meine Schwester, meine kleine
Yes,
Schwester auch dazugekommen
it is certainly not easy.
Ja, also es
And
ist
you
nicht sehr
really
einfach.
have to put
Man
your
muss
shoulder
sich
to the
schon
wheel here as a
einsetzen,
woman,
also als
especially
Frau,
outside the
besonders wenn man
city,
wie
in the
wir hier ein
country,
bisschen
and with the
außerhalb der
country
Stadt ist
people.
und auf dem Land
They
mit
find it
Leute
difficult
auf dem
to be
Land.
told what to do by a woman, or
Sie
to have
akzeptieren
her
es nicht
as a
so
boss.
einfach, von einer
It
Frau
can be
dirigiert
a
zu
little
werden oder
difficult.
eine Frau als Chefin zu haben. Ja. Nee, ist schon ein bisschen schwierig, ja.
Mother-in-law's chair is the name of this Echinocactus grusini cactus. A cactus can live for 100 or 300 years. Pachycereus pringlei is named after the American botanist Pringle. These tree-like cactus can grow up to 19 meters high. Most cacti come from South America, and they are becoming ever more popular in the gardens of Europeans who have settled here.
Sehr viele kommen nach Marokko
Many
eben,
people
einen
come to
Garten
Morocco
zu haben,
because they can have a garden and
von der
benefit
Sonne
from the
auch
sun.
profitieren. Viele
Many
kommen
come
ja
from
von Ländern,
places
wo
where
es
the
nicht
climate
so
is
schön
not
ist,
always
immer
so pleasant.
ein ganzes
And a
Jahr.
lot of these people
Also,
create
und
very
viele
beautiful
wirklich machen sehr, sehr
gardens.
schöne Gärten.
Benchaban Abderrazak has also created a beautiful garden. He is a Marrakchi with Berber roots. Gardens are his life. He writes about them, photographs them, and lectures on botany at Marrakesh University. He has given much thought to how his culture and tradition are reflected in gardens.
Les jardiniers au Marocain ont l'habitude de dire, quand ils ont bien travaillé dans un jardin,
when gardeners in Morocco are satisfied with their work, they say they can see their face in the garden.
C'est mon visage. Donc il voit son visage dans le jardin quand il a bien travaillé.
The garden functions like a mirror because it reflects our faces. One also needs a mirror for immersion in thought about oneself and the world, and this mirror is meditation.
De miroir pour plonger dans une réflexion sur soi-même et sur le monde, c'est ce qu'on appelle la méditation. Et ce n'est pas un hasard si beaucoup de jardins, en tout cas c'est la règle dans le jardin islamique, qu'il y ait des plans d'eau qui sont des véritables miroirs,
the surrounding buildings and the garden
la lumière
itself.
dans le jardin et dans les bâtiments qui se trouvent dans les jardins, et qui, en même temps, le jardin se reflète
This
dans
playing with
le
mirrors
miroir.
is, I think,
Donc,
to
ces
some
jeux de
extent, the
miroirs
essence
sont
of a garden.
font partie de la vie, je crois, d'un jardin.
Despite his love of water surfaces, Benchaban constantly changes his garden over to a dry planting scheme and to plants with very modest water requirement. Global warming has not made the managing of a garden in this latitude any easier, and he wants to ensure that his plants will flourish over the long term.
Moi, dans mon jardin, en tout cas,
Every tree in my garden, every individual has its own life. It is like a family, or like my children who constantly surprise me, or with a new emotion in each of these surprises. People who are not a part of the family have no part in these emotions, these little hidden things that ultimately bring us so many moments of happiness.
Ces émotions, ces petites choses cachées et qui offrent beaucoup de bonheur, en fait.
we set off again, this time to the Berber Monday Market in Ourika, southwest of Marrakesh. The landscape here among the foothills of the snow-capped Atlas Mountains is fertile and a lush green. Once a week, small farmers and traders bring their goods to market here. The Berbers are the original ethnic group in Morocco. Before the Muslim conquest, the Berbers had their own natural religion, and respect for nature is still very important to them. For example, the Berbers still never build on land that can be cultivated, because this would be a waste. The market serves the food needs of the local people. Unlike the city we have left behind us, tourists are a rare sight here. We have another destination here in the fertile surroundings of the Ourika River. We leave the lowlands and travel up into the mountains to a garden created by an Englishman. Stephen Skinner originally wanted to move to Marrakesh, but then he discovered this place and built himself a kasbah.
This valley, the Ourika Valley, is the valley that Moroccans, Marrakechis, escape to in the summer months, and because it's cool and it's a dry, hot heat in the summer, and I could not believe the lushness of this valley. I suppose we are on the edge of some pretty enormous mountains, and so there's a lot of water.
And Stephen uses this water for a garden with spectacular views. The Atlas Mountains, with their 4,000-metre peaks, separate the Maghreb lands from the dry Sahara. The clouds leave their rain here, and the water from the Atlas Mountains supplies Marrakesh. The Atlas forests were cut down and cleared over the centuries. The erosion caused by humans is a serious problem for the mountains. Plants are the only answer, as here in Skinner's garden. Has this remote location in the mountains changed him?
I don't think it's changed me. I think it's had an impact on me in appreciating that life can be very simple and can be better, simpler.
Berbers from the neighbouring villages work at the kasbah and grow vegetables in the traditional way. Skinner gives his gardeners a free hand. They know the climate and the soil best. And this is how his garden developed, not to a plan from a landscape architect, but in a dialogue with the human designers and with the constant panorama view here at a height of 1,000 meters. We are in the land of the Berbers, where ancient traditions still survive as a matter of course. It is the same here in Tamslocht, where traditions survive and potters produce vases as they have done for thousands of years with the local clay. The potteries are lined up one after the other. Nothing has changed either in the material or the technique used. Water, clay, a muscle power wheel, air for drying, and fire for the kiln. The technique has been passed on from generation to generation. The method by which thousands of vases are made seems almost archaic. The entire village lives from the pottery production. The size of the vases makes it plain why the potter's wheels are buried in the earth. It is only by this means that the potters can work without scaffolding. No vase leaves the workshop without being decorated first. Ornamentation is also added, with the assurance of swift routine and thousand-fold practice. Once the clay has dried so that it is nicely elastic in consistency, patterns are inscribed on it. They have no meaning and are simply part of the potter's routine. The kiln is heated with anything that burns well, sawdust for example. A high column of smoke visible far and wide proclaims that this is Tamslocht, the village of the potters. We plunge into the green world of the artist André Heller. Visitors to this public garden are received by figures of African gods. Why did the artist create a garden here in Morocco?
Marokko ist eine Liebesgeschichte seit 1972. Man erfährt,
Morocco has been a love story of mine since 1972. You only experience a love story in its full depth when you live it and experience it as a
task. Wenn man es als eine Arbeit begreift. Und dann habe ich mir ein Projekt geschaffen.
And then I set myself a project. It may sound a little arrogant, but to produce a portrait of myself as an elderly man and the experience I have with semitones, colours, smells, and through to light and shade. And this is something I wish to express, not merely in the written word, in songs or narratives, but transferred as a dream into reality.
Als Traum in die Wirklichkeit übertragen werden.
The reality is a garden that seeks to create a symbiosis of nature and art. The wandering on tortuous paths constantly opens up fresh perspectives, showing in equal measure the art collector and the plant lover. Gardens also have another dimension for André Heller.
Aber wenn man sich vorstellt, welche
When you consider what supreme energies gardens possess and recall that the older they are, the more beautiful they become, then there is little in the world that will compare with them. Surely not us. Can we expect to look better at 200 than we did at 35?
The garden André Heller has laid out is not yet 10 years old. It is still in its first infancy, but it looks significantly older and more mature because large and mature plants were acquired for it from the start. Every care has been taken to ensure there were no failures. Plants from around the world have found a new home in the artist's garden. New York was the compelling idea here, Heller says. a city where the mix of people with utterly different origins has created a community of incomparable energy. This is how to bring the whole world into a garden. Is the Islamic garden art tradition of significance for Hella?
Die islamische Kultur hat immer Gärten als
Islamic culture has always regarded gardens as places of contemplation.
Auch des Augentrostes.
And also of clearer perception. They are high-quality energy inputs that bring us back into harmony, the way a piano tuner does.
Versuchen, wie ein Klavierstimmer in die richtige Stimmung zu bringen.
The effect gardens have is not sufficiently appreciated, Hella says.
Man sollte in Wirklichkeit
the categories of the Nobel Peace Prize ought to be expanded to include gardens. Gardens are a peace offering. There can be no question about that. For reconciliation, human interaction, and the chance to breathe deeply.
We leave this garden reflecting on the notion that gardens can help to establish peace, either in oneself or between different cultures, as experienced here in Morocco. We take in the view of the high Atlas peaks with relaxed enjoyment, before returning once more to the secret garden. What we find here is a very private and luxurious domain, but with an important aspect of Islamic culture implemented here. This is the factor of an all-dominant beauty. The star cast are the palms, with trunks decorated on the ground as though by flower garlands. The longer you stay in this garden, the more certain you become that someone wants to unite everything belonging to a perfect garden of the Islamic tradition in this one place. Visual axes bisect this 55,000 square metre garden area, and the significance of water is clear from the numerous fountains. Roses occupy an entire section of the garden, and the owner is clearly devoted to them. Of roses, the opportunity to lie quietly in the shade of a pavilion is provided, and to be beguiled by the fragrance and magnificent colours. But the innermost core of this garden has another surprise in store. Surrounded by architecture reminiscent of the Alhambra, there is a large pool of water, of the kind found in traditional Islamic gardens since the Middle Ages. The gardens of the Europeans in Morocco are as individual as their owners. Each one of them has done something different to realize a personal dream of the Orient. Whether this is the magnificence of the caliphs, the simple life of the Berber people, or the spirituality of Islam. Each one of them shares a common love of a country that has accepted them all with its oriental hospitality.